What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. I am Cynthia Conte.
And I am Giandra LaBeouf, and we are back to talk to you about boxing, about the shenanigans, about all the good stuff. I mean, there is some good stuff mixed in there somewhere, but I'm happy to be back with Cynthia. What's going on, Cynthia, today?
Nothing, just, same shit, different day. Every day something new was happening in boxing. But yeah, nothing here on this end, just working, seeing the breaking news as we saw Mike Tyson's fight is off. Am I shocked?
No, not at all. I was surprised it made it this far, to be honest.
Right?
I really am surprised. I was scared when they said Mike was having a health issue. I thought, is the man having a heart attack? Because he smoked a lot of weed. And, that's a long flight, even for those of us who are affluent. So I'm glad Mike is okay. But
yeah,
wow, sucks for Amanda and Katie.
Yeah, I talked to Amir, his son, to make sure he's like it wasn't as bad as it sounded, but still health. He's like it's my father's health. I didn't know it was gonna get canceled because that was earlier this morning, and then I just saw it got postponed. So yeah, I was wondering is the whole card, but yes, it's the whole card, and that sucks.
I know, it goes back to the whole conversation that always go on about bringing new eyes to the sport and doing these crossover things and these big monstrous shows to bring eyes. And then look what happens, the biggest one of them all.
Yeah.
And the co-star has health issues and, no disrespect, Iron Mike. No disrespect at all. But I'm just surprised it got this far because Katie versus Amanda is enough to stand on its own. I mean, look at the first one, but alas, here we are.
I know, but it's going to be good for us because then it's not so close to the Crawford fight.
Exactly. Maybe that's the greater blessing. That's good for us because we are trying to go to that fight. Yeah. And if you are watching and you can help us make that happen,
yeah. Our
Cash
App is open,
Cash App is open.
DM us. We'll take Bitcoin. We'll take everything.
Hello. I'm feeling that Bitcoin thing.
Oh, me too.
I'm feeling that.
Now I can go to Nashville with Dimitri because it was like either Texas or Nashville because the grandparents are going to be here. So I can go to Nashville for the first time.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a great area, beautiful homes. That's pretty cool. That's going to be fun.
And then, as we know, another big fight back in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the 5 versus 5, Queensberry versus Matchroom. Who knew? All you had to do to get those two as besties, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, was throw like $1 bajillion. And on top of that, the winner, the team, gets an extra $3 million.
That's insane.
Really? That's as insane. If they really need it. Come on.
We need an extra 3 milli, 1 milli, 2 milli, 3 milli, 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. And we'll be there. We will be there. We will show up. I was I don't know how I missed this the first time it was released, but I finally saw the teaser trailer for the 5-on-5 fight. Listen, lean in close, audience. That's how you know the money is good.
Right.
We can't even get some of these fighters to stick to their interview times, let alone go shoot a whole theatrical production with props and acting. When did they even shoot this? It's beautifully done. So, I mean, I know that money is good.
I just watched one of the scrums that I had with Ray Ford, and I asked him during the Fontaine Blue fights, I go, "Is it true that you're on the 5 versus 5?" He's like, he could not confirm nor deny, and I said that means a yes. And he goes, "I'm just enjoying my time. I've been away out of the country doing some big things, so now I'm putting two and two things together." So. But yeah, it was a very Guy Ritchie-esque type of show, like the butcher, the handler, whatever. But I love the concept. When you got money, you can do whatever you want.
I'm just imagining what it must be like in a day in the life of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Is he at home? Is someone helping him? Like the matchups, I'm sure he thought of those. He's probably a boxing fan. But this whole concept, is there someone who's like, you know what we should do? We should do a movie and we should have this person be that person and make it with Eddie and Frank. Book us. book us. I can help brainstorm that too. I mean, but I really, oh, I loved it so much. It made me feel inspired that we should shoot us a little something. I
Something.
have some, as a matter of fact, we'll take it offline. I have some ideas about that, about something we could do. So maybe we should follow His Excellency's his lead and start just being very theatrical with our approach to boxing.
Girl, you're already on a start. You got them wigs.
I need to bust that red one out. I forgot to take it with me on my last trip.
Oh, y'all knew what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Some of you all know, some of you grown people, because if you do know what we're talking about, then you're probably not the type of people who are arguing on Twitter all day.
Right. But yeah, no, Turkey Al-Sheikh is a huge boxing fan. So that's why he's putting literally all his fantasy matchups together because he can. And when you're offering a lot of money, you're gonna say yes. Like
Mm-hmm.
I bet you about a bunch of retired fighters be like, I'll lace up, I'll get my ass back in the gym, I'll lose X amount of weight. Yeah. Dude, if he says, Jay, let's go fight, we're
Heck
running, we're
yeah. I'm doing all that. Just so don't put your girl below like middleweight. Just get me down, put me down. I need some time, but put me down to middleweight. But we could make it happen. His Excellency, do just let us know. But let's dive into some of these matchups. As you mentioned, Raymond Ford, you had a chance at Nick Ball. We talked about it on the last show. You have already given it the Cynthia Conti seal of approval. That's going to be the fight of the night. It's
Yep.
going to be an excellent one. But let's talk about a little bit about Daniel Dubois, Flip Ergovich, what's happening with that fight, and what's happening with Alexander Usyk in the IBF situation.
So, based off what I read that Dan Rafael tweeted, he broke the story is that the IBF, they're not stripping Usyk as of right now. And so Hergovich and Dubois are fighting for the interim. So that means they would be the next in line. Now, at any point, IBF may strip from the time of this fight, the Hergovich fight to Usyk's fight, they may strip him. So if Usyk gets stripped, the winner of this fight becomes the new IBF. So either you should just strip him now or don't strip him. So why would you try to
Right.
strip him in between? That makes no sense. No
I
sense.
know, IVF, love them or hate them, and we just barely got an undisputed heavyweight champion after 25 years. Very happy. Salute to you, Alexander Usyk. You had the right game plan. But what's going on that they were like, you know what, we'll let them hold on to it for a little bit longer. We know the WBC does it. We
Why
know the
didn't they do it to
WBA just does
Crawford?
belts.
Remember?
And they're doing
They
it to Canelo. They're getting ready to strip Canelo.
no.
So
Canelo wants it's gonna vacate.
that's
Canelo,
right, before
yeah,
they can
because
strip him.
and because he doesn't want to fight. This is alleged. He doesn't want to fight Scully, I think, or the next guy in line, some Cuban fighter, because I guess he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna end up fighting Berlanga.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we
Whatever.
know how the first attempt to sell that fight went.
I know.
Bum, bum, ba-dum,
Wah, wah, wah.
bum.
As Brooklyn would say, wah wah wah. He does that a lot.
The IBF. Turkey al Sheik, are you talking to the IBF? What's really going on over there? Just leave the belts on him a little bit longer. I'm not alleging anything or saying they're for pay, but it was that fight and everyone else is getting stripomania. So I don't know.
That's a fight. That's the other heavyweight fight that's happening because the co-main is obviously Zhang and Wilder, which we will get to. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this fight is going under the radar because Dubois has fought Usyk and he's lost. He's fought actually a lot of big names, and he's only 26 years old. And Hergovich
Mm-hmm.
he has 14 knockouts, 17 wins. He's undefeated. I don't. This is a good fight. This is a good fight.
It,
I have my picks. I want to hear your picks. We'll just do our picks. But
sure.
I can tell you on BetMGM, Hergovich is minus 250 and Dubois is plus 200. So for people who don't know about betting, the minus is the favorite. So Hergovich is the favorite and Dubois is 200. And then for Raymond Ford, minus 150 for Raymond Ford and plus 138 for Nick Ball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys didn't see Kenneth Sims Jr., he mentioned Nick Ball because he's cool with Raymond Ford. And he said Nick Ball is he fights dirty in the ring. Watch the Ray
Mm-hmm.
Vargas fight. I don't know. We'll see. Did you watch the press conference, girl? Raymond
Yeah, I have
Ford.
it, and I have it on in the background here too. As a matter of fact, I see that I'm watching the flashback footage. Shout out to the Zone. Hey
Mm-hmm.
y'all, send us an affiliate code. And they're interviewing Dimitri Bivol right now, who, I feel for Dimitri Bivol. He just wants the fights, but I feel like I've seen some interviews this week about him because obviously this was supposed to be the fight against Better Biev, and he seems like now he's just over it. And I feel sad that that's potentially a fight we won't ever get. I hope
It's
that's not the
it's
case.
so weird. That's funny that you mentioned Beeble because I completely forgot he was supposed to be with Better Biev, but now it's like, well, obviously we know Better Biev is hurt, but he's fighting some guy, which the guy was touching his belts during the thing, but I completely forgot
Disrespectful.
he's fighting on this card, which was supposed to be the main, and
Mhm,
5 on 5, the 5 versus 5 was just like the undercard.
mhm.
Well, yeah, and then the other fight of the night, I think may steal it is Austin Emma Williams versus Hamza Shiraz. This one is a good little
Mhm.
fight.
Yes, it is.
I've read a lot that Shiraz might take it, but the 225 and then plus 188 for Shiraz. So 225. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The Austin Alma Williams. No, he's not the one with the dog. That's the other dude.
I was just going to say the same thing. I was literally getting ready to say, is he the one with the dog?
No,
But
that's
no,
Montana
that's
Love.
Montana Love. Yeah. I swear to God, I was going to say the same thing. They must have fought on the same card before,
They're
but yeah,
matchroom.
I
They're
totally
matchroom.
was going to do this. Yeah, they're all matchroom kids. I was going to
Yeah.
say the same thing, but no dog for him, ammo for him. And, going through those fights, I'm not as familiar at all with Hamza Shiraz. I don't want to count him out just because I'm unfamiliar with him, but I always like the apple cart to be upset. So in an instance when I don't know just give me the B side. I'll just go with the B side.
Yeah.
You never know.
The B side pays. That's why
Exactly. Hello. I'm always going to bet on the B side.
I
No
made so much.
disrespect, fighters, but
I
I'm
know,
always going
no.
to bet on the
When it
B
comes to
side.
money, I've been betting a lot on the when it says plus. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other side, the other fight, Craig Richards, he's a veteran. So he's no stranger in the ring. He's lost to Boatsi and Bivol, and he's going to be
Mm-hmm.
fighting a young, hungry dude, Willie Hutchinson. I love his nickname is Braveheart. That's a great name.
Mm.
And there, Richards is minus 160, and Hutchinson is plus 138. So a lot of good little
Mm.
fights. But let's get to the big heavyweight fight. I told you earlier. Did you watch the weigh-in? Did you see?
Yes.
It's a whole damn child that separates how much they weigh.
That is a big, giant, giant, big man, big bang, Jang. He is a giant. And Wilder looks like his usual long kind of not sinewy, like I forgot what rip. How
Yeah,
we expect Deontay Wilder to look. He looks good, but I agree with your assessment. I'm not sure if he's all the way dialed into this fight. I mean, he and Eddie Hearn have a great relationship.
hmm,
Eddie, has a vested interest in keeping the communication open because people still want to see a fight with Anthony Joshua, but
hmm,
does the fight lose its luster if Wilder loses again or
yeah,
doesn't look impressive again?
absolutely. Yeah, I always say, it depends on how they win and how they lose. Um, this is such a hard fight because the way Wilder is looking, I mean, he's like Bridger weight right now. He's so under,
Mm,
and when I saw him, and I said it earlier, I don't know if you saw the media workout, the way he was moving, and people on social media are like, what is he doing? Like, just don't try to be a Wilder that you've never been. Be the Wilder that we've all known you've been. Just throw the right hand. Do not wait. Do not sit around and wait and pick your nose and maybe throw it. You have to throw bombs because that's what you're good at. And that's why
hmm.
you have 42 knockouts. There's a reason why you landed that right hand because you took the chance. So he cannot be gun shy, especially against Zhang because he has the left hand, who's a southpaw, who also has dynamite in that
Ooh.
hand too. He
They
dropped
might have a
Joseph
really
Parker.
violent head. They might have a really violent clash of heads. It could look like anything. I just hope it looks like competition. Wilder is still working with Malik Scott. right?
Yes.
He still has Malik Scott by his side. That's very interesting. Malik Scott has such a quirky, interesting training style. If you follow him on Instagram and watch how he trains himself, his pupils, and the idea of switching it up right now for Wilder's game is kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know that I want to see that. I agree with you. I want to see the great equalizer.
I mean,
Give us what we came for.
what's kind of weird is that since Wilder has lost his fights, we talked about it with Canelo. It's like they dump the trainer and they go find another trainer because they believe it's could be the trainer. I'm not saying it's Malik Scott's fight. No, not at all, because he's only
Mhm,
had him a couple fights. But
mhm.
maybe Malik is not the trainer for him, if you think about it.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
but also remember, Deontay was on his ayahuasca. He was in his last fight, like all love. I don't want to destroy. But now it's like you have to seek and destroy and kill. Like, will he
I
be
would
able to
like to
turn that
see
switch off? I turn
I
it on
would
again.
I would if she would reunite with his former trainer. And again, it's not saying that Malik Scott has to go anywhere, but the
Yeah.
trainer that he had that he thought
Oh
colluded with
yeah.
his
Yeah.
water in the corner and the Fury fight, I would have liked to. I thought at some point they would have reconciled because there are, teams that reconcile, but this is not one of them. And I wish both guys the best of luck, safety, great fight, but I want to
Mark
see a
Breland.
knockout.
Mark Breland.
Mark Breland, salute to you, Mark Breland. I want to see a knockout, but I don't know.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
mean,
know.
okay, put it down right now. Okay, so I'm gonna say right now, all the betting odds on every betting app, it's not the same, but this one that I'm gonna say is from Superbook here at Westgate Hotel. It's former Hilton Hotel. If you guys are old enough to remember that, it's Deontay Wilder is the underdog. He's plus 140, and Zhilei Zhang is minus 160. Who do you have in this fight, girl?
I am going to go with Wilder. I'm going to hope that he, you know, makes lightning in a bottle again because the sport is always more exciting with him in it. So I hope to see him win in spectacular fashion. I hope he can pull the trigger because it's just so much more exciting with him in it.
Yep, I agree, but I'm not gonna agree. I'm gonna have to go a little different. And usually, like I said, I bet the underdog, but I'm gonna be going Zhilei Zhang points on this one. I don't know why.
Mm,
Just look, Zhilei Zhang, just like as big and ginormous as he is, he's solid and he looks in shape for his size. And God, he's what was it, 286?
wow.
200, no, 282.2 pounds, and Wilder was 214.6. That's so,
That's got to be among his lightest weights. I
yeah.
feel like during the Curie fight, he was in the 230s. Then he went back down. Wow, that's a big weight difference.
Yeah, so
That
I
is a
think
big weight
it will be
difference.
interesting. And so I don't know, the premise of this, it's not like a typical boxing match. Oh, it is, but then how they get the $3 million, if you guys have been following, there are points. So 2 points for a KO or a TKO win, 1 point for a decision victory, and double points for Zhang and Wilder. So whoever has the
Mm,
most points, they get the extra $3 million along with their purses. I mean, so
imagine.
why don't you
Just
guys
imagine.
donate that? Donate that to your charity. Like the extra 3 million. I'm sorry, that's like you're already getting a lot of money. I get it, but donate it to a boxing, like several boxing charities. I don't know.
And several boxing channels. Chip us off 10%. 30 racks. You're not even going to miss that. You're going to pay more than that in taxes. Chip us off 30 racks. So we can go see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano too. Tyson, love you, Mike Tyson. That's cool. But we're trying to go see Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano too. Chip us
There you
off.
go. Our Cash App is always open. You
Always
can
open.
Zelle, Venmo.
Best women's boxing
You
show.
can write us checks. We'll take it all. We'll take it all.
Apple Pay, all that. All of that. All of that.
Yeah. So I think these are some really good fights. I'm really excited. Now on to more pressing matters. Once we think always the saga is almost done, the Ryan Garcia, the B sample was tested, and you guys, you have to understand when someone takes something and it is found positive, there's something called strict liability. So I don't care if God says he didn't take it, but it's in his system. You have to prove how you got it. Now, it doesn't matter if it does show that it was tainted. they're still going to get a suspension. It doesn't mean it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. Canelo had a suspension, and he proved
That's
that
a
it was in
correct.
tainted meat,
Hmm.
tainted. But Ryan's still going to get suspended. So I don't think he's going to be fighting anytime soon against Virgil Ortiz that he put his name in the
Not
hat
at
for.
all. Not at all.
I'd be a
Hell,
that would
Virgil
be a
Ortiz
damn
can't even
shame.
get the fight he's supposed to have.
And that's a whole, and Tim Zoo, I thought, like, okay, I don't know what's going on with Tim Zoo, but if Fundora could not fight and he had a broken nose and they're not allowing him to fight Crawford or whoever was supposed to be in the mix, what makes you guys think that Zoo was going to be able to fight with that huge gash that he looked like freaking
Exactly.
Carrie from with that movie? Huh,
It was just looking
it was
like
like
just
it was.
it
Ugh,
was gross. It was a
shut up.
bloodbath. It was a red wedding.
It was, and then I read that I don't know if this is true. Allegedly, that Tim Zoo didn't ask for a rematch with Fundora, or it wasn't stated.
Interesting.
And even though Zoo was was champion, so what happened and
He,
who you got? If this is all true, y'all, you need to fire a lot of people on your team because this is not mathing up. Like this is a lot of
yeah,
weird stuff.
Tim Zoo didn't know what to do with all that length and gangliness and height and just awkward style. It just caught him completely off guard. I keep looking here into the background because I have the weigh-in playing again in the background, and I'm looking at, ironically, Big Bang Jang is on the scale right now. That is a big ass man.
I
Good
didn't. I didn't.
Lord.
I knew Chinese people came tall because of basketball, but I didn't know they came that big. Like they're
Okay,
just
tall and thick.
solid.
He is thick. And then here's Wilder looking uneasy on his feet. He's just kind of looking now. He looks a little zooted, or I don't know. Don't come for me, Wilder fans. I got nothing but love for Deontay Wilder, but he just looks so like they just woke him up out of his sleep. He looks sleep on the scale. I don't understand what I'm looking at here.
I know what I
It's
was
not
looking
even
at.
ferocity.
That big old red ruby on his neck.
Hello, looking
I
like
was
the gem of the ocean. What's the thing in the Titanic?
the big sapphire. That's all I kept thinking
You know
about.
what? We could hold that too. Send us that. Shoot, I'm sure we could go to a few fights for what that cost.
That's like oh, that's like two commas in there.
Oh my goodness. He is just, those of you who are watching our show today, go back and watch the presser. Even if you don't watch the full thing, just look at Wilder and saying, Wilder looks like they just woke him from a very deep nap, like a very deep sleep.
I don't know.
Like when you
I'm
wake
just
your kids up on a Saturday morning with the vacuum and the gospel music playing in the background. Get up, it's time for house cleaning. Well, it's
I mean,
Saturday.
what happens? What happens? He said it that he knows he needs to win. And if
Mm-hmm.
let's see, this could be his last chance. Where does Wilder go from here?
I think he retires after this.
Yeah, honestly, I would too
There's nothing left.
because the fights are just going to get harder, and you don't want to go, you don't want to regress in opponents, and because
Mm-hmm.
then you're going backwards. Because if you're trying to get titles, you have to start fighting Joseph Parker again, Tyson
Mm-hmm.
Fury again, and we already kind of know how those fights happen. Dubois is a tough son of a. We'll see. I mean, these guys are no joke, and they're all coming in weight, and they're just younger, faster, hungrier. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and then now you guys can enjoy our interview or my interview, Jandra. You were sorely missed with Malissa Smith, a boxing historian. She has a book, A Promise of Women's Boxing, a momentous new era for the sweet science. Take a look. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the best women's boxing show, period. I'm Cynthia Conte. And unfortunately, my co host, Chandra LaBeouf, is not on this episode today, but she is here in spirit. But we do have a special guest, Malissa Smith. She is a boxing historian. You may have seen her on Twitter.
At Girl Boxing Now.
But yeah, you are a boxing historian specializing in women's boxing. This is your second book called Promise of Women's Boxing, a momentous new era for the sweet science. Long title, but it is a well overdue book. I know that you had your first book, A History of Women's Boxing, in 2014. We are in 2024. 10 years has gone by and so much has changed. What made you write, first of all, what made you even become a boxing historian in women's boxing?
Oh, wow. Well, I had always loved boxing since I was a little kid. I grew up in the era of Muhammad Ali, and, my hero was actually Kenny Norton and his amazing overhand right. So, but it took me a very long time to realize that I could actually walk into the gym myself and learn the sweet science. I started doing that in my 40s at Gleason's gym in New York, which is, sort of the mecca of boxing, if you will. And as part of that, I started to meet a lot of women who were boxing either as amateurs or as professionals. Women like Melissa Hernandez, Alicia Ashley, Belinda Lara Cuente, who were all um, rising stars in the early aughts. And when there was not a lot of coverage of women's boxing, that kind of inspired me. And when I went back to school and decided to get a master's degree, I thought, why not take a look at the meaning of women's boxing? Why is it that there so many people hate when women enter this hypermasculine sport? So I did my master's on that, had the chance then to write an actual history of the sport, the first one. And since then have really continued to tell the stories of women in the sport, write about boxing on my blog, Girl Boxing, and have rules within the sport. And said, wow, so much has happened in the last 10 years. It's time for a new book.
It's interesting because when I know that you wrote about the history of women's boxing and so much has changed. We're talking about the pay, the way I mean, unfortunately, women still can't really fight three-minute rounds. Depends on the sanctioning body, the type of opponents. And you mentioned it, and we know it. You have Amanda Serrano, Heather Hardy. They were fighting rounds, and they're fighting still to this day. That they were getting paid pennies. And then you
Yeah.
come fast forward, you're now getting, some people are getting the $1 million paydays and some now are getting six figures, which are well deserved. But there was and there's still such a huge pay gap. And of course, we hear the women always saying, pay the women more money, but it just depends on the promotion. What has changed from the time you wrote this book, from what you know, what has changed in women's boxing till now?
Well, the biggest change agent was the Olympics in 2012. Women have been contesting in the amateurs officially since the late 1990s. There was the first international women's championship that was held in 2001 in the United States and Pennsylvania. Even as women were meeting then, they had their eye. They said, wow, we want to become an Olympic sport. It's the last sport that doesn't have men and women represented. That's crazy. We have to change that. So with that change, and when those 36 women showed up in London and fought their hearts out, and people watched and went, oh my God, look at Claressa Shields, look at Nicola Adams, look at Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
The world changed.
It
Now,
really,
where I start the book is to say, hey, well, what did happen the morning after? Did it change overnight? No. It really took another Olympic cycle for it to start to sink in. And when those Olympians, Katie Taylor, Claressa Shields, began to box and start their careers as professionals, that's when the real revolution happened. Because they were starting at $50,000 for a fight, whereas everybody else was like maybe at 10 or 12. That was crazy.
yeah, if they get 10 or 12, sometimes it's like
For a championship.
1,000, 2,000, yeah.
Yeah,
A-
absolutely.
And
Absolutely right.
and
And
you
still,
mentioned, and still,
and still,
don't get it twisted, guys. The pay gap
yeah,
is still
yeah,
bad.
still
And
bad.
I know in 2012 you have Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields, and we see it's kind of interesting because Clarissa Shields, and to each their own. People are going to always debate this
Right.
forever. She is a very well accomplished athlete. She's three division. She's now possibly looking for a fourth division undisputed. Two-time gold medals, 2012 and 2016. Katie
Right.
Taylor, she was 2012. Why is it, from what your understanding, why is it that Clarissa Shields doesn't get the flowers that she deserves, but they're giving Katie Taylor the flowers that she deserves? I don't understand that, because Clarissa Shields, no, I'm not saying one is better than the other, absolutely not. But
No.
why does one get all the accolades and the love by the public and Clarissa Shields doesn't?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, Claressa Shields is fighting in the United States.
Yeah.
She's a US boxer out of Flint. So, and women's boxing, despite the brilliance of Amanda Serrano, despite the brilliance that started with Christy Martin in terms of what we think of as the modern era of women's boxing, we don't like women boxing in a boxing ring in this country. Sorry, it's the truth.
No,
Katie, even though she's an Irish fighter, she's fighting out of the UK for the most part. And even when she's come here, she's had she has the love of Ireland behind her. There's just not a lot of gold medalists, right?
bingo, bingo. You got that,
you know,
Melissa.
the thing with Katie, she's also an amazing footballer. She was the head of, like, I think it was really kind of early in her career. She was the honorary chairman of, like, the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin. Now, that's a big deal, especially if you're in the United States or New York, where I live. St. Patty's Day Parade is a big deal. She was there not for boxing, she was there for football. So when she won a gold medal, that is a very big deal. Now, we have a lot of gold medalists in the United States. And there is Claressa. She wins the first gold medal for a woman in a boxing match. It's like Claressa, it was a zero. She comes back in 2016, wins her second gold medal, the only American boxer, male, female, whatever, who has ever done that back-to-back. Claressa. She, through her own insistence, through her own sense of her own being, through the wars that she has been through in her personal life, she has insisted that she be recognized, that she be given opportunity. And every single fight she's ever had, it's come out of her sheer will. Yeah. And while she may not have full traction in the United States, she is known worldwide. And, let's face it, her biggest fight that she ever had was not here. It was in the O2 in London when she fought Savannah Marshall and finally got her 6 figures. Did she get it here? No, because we just have a problem with women in the sport. That's my own opinion.
No, I totally agree with you, because we see the shift of women's boxing when, it all started Matchroom. I have to give Eddie props to that, because he was able to really bring women's boxing to the forefront. And now all the women, Michaela Mayer, Claressa Shields, they're all fighting in the UK because the UK fans love women's boxing. America it's still, like you said, a lot of people don't like to see women in fights. They don't like. Yeah, but they don't want to support. That's the problem.
Not necessarily. When you have let me turn that around for you. When Heather Hardy fought Shelley Vincent in what was a local fight in New York City, right? With Errol Spence on the card. He was the main event. The venue was sold out because everybody wanted to see Heather and Shelley.
Yes.
They sold it out. When Heather and Shelley fought a second time for the WBO championship on HBO, only the second time a women's fight was on there, they sold out the little theater in Madison Square Garden. So it's not a matter of people don't want to support them. It's that promoters don't want to support them. Okay, there is a big difference here.
Melissa, you hit the hot button on that.
All right, we got an 11 fight card when Canelo was there, right? 11 fights. You can't put one goddamn 16-minute 8x2 fight on an 11 fight card. What are we talking about? This is PBC. They refuse to put women on their cards. Why? I don't know why. They have been successful when Shelley Vincent and Heather Hardy fought on their cards. I don't understand. So this is not about the fans. If you go to, like, the little club shows, they get sold out when the girls are fighting.
Yeah.
It's the promoters. So who do you have here in America putting it on? You got Golden Boy. They have a deal with Matchroom. You got Lou DiBella still. Thank God for Lou DiBella.
Yes.
Right. What is Bob Arum really? He's got 2 fighters, maybe a third. We're going to see Nisa Rodriguez on the 8th next week. Great New York local fighter, terrific amateur background, great support in New York City. So she will help sell out the little theater at Madison Square Garden. But where were they on the Tyson fight? You know, where was the Tyson Fury fight card? There were enough fighters put there. We got 5x5 coming up this weekend between Queensbury and Matchroom. Where's the female fight?
I told Eddie, I would love certain fighters, but
What's happening?
I can understand maybe because maybe it's in Saudi, but they did have Ramla Ali
They
on
had
the
Ronda Ali.
inaugural
And right.
and
And
the
they're
inaugural
also
card,
right. And they're growing their own internal amateur program.
which is
They have a really
great.
serious amateur program going on. So I think at some point they will start to, but will it be in Saudi or will it be the regular season cars that are fought in the UK? We'll see how that evolves. But I'm here in America, so are you, and we're saying at PBC, what gives here? Why don't you have women on the cars? Why is it that most really amazing female fighters right now are fighting 1 rounds on the team combat league? I mean, if you look at the women who are fighting those cards,
I know.
it's crazy. How
I
many
know.
championships?
I
So
worked that.
this
I
is
worked
much.
I worked the inaugural of Team Combat League and watching these women because it was an opportunity given to them because they're not getting it on any other card.
Right,
Why
exactly.
not? And these women fought just as hard or even
Yes.
better than the men. They had some of the best
Yep.
fights of the night. And so that's why I applaud Team Combat League for, you know, for really putting women on their platform and really showing they can kick some ass. Now, you know, I know another thing because as you see, we know that Christy Martin was always sent to a lot of Mike Tyson fights. She was always that pretty
not
girl in
co-main, but
pink. Oh, well, but
she
Mike
was on
Tyson,
those cards.
she was on the
Yeah.
card, but Mike Tyson wanted her on the cards.
He
And
wanted to, after a while, yeah, he
Yeah.
started to say, yeah, she belongs there. But
and so
she can
now
fight.
you have the evolution of women. And you know what? If you got it, flaunt it. You have Ebanie Bridges who wears lingerie or sticky tape.
Absolutely.
And if that's the way you're going to sell fights, but you have to back it up, and they do back it up. So I understand when
Right.
guys say women can't box. Yes, some majority, yes, they can. But you can't come out in a piece of lingerie and not know how to throw a jab or not anything. But do you think that hurts or helps the sport for women since it's come so far and then it goes, you know, people say it takes like 20 steps back by doing things like this?
I don't agree with that. I don't. And I'll tell you why. Every fighter is an entrepreneur, male or female. Okay. This is a business. This is the business of boxing. This is not the amateurs where you're all in the same little singlet. If you want to sell sex as your way to get a fan base and to get, you know, 1 million followers on Twitter, you go, girl. But yes, back it up. Don't
Yes.
get in there and not know how to fight because then you're gone. But Ebanie can fight.
Yes.
If she wants to put her boobs out there, knock yourself out. It's
Mhm.
not my way, but go for it because she's not insulting anyone. She's not hurting anyone. This is her brand, her business. And then you go behind that and you look at what Ebanie Bridges does with the minimal money she gets, which is support women. She is paying it forward every day. You know, Shelley Vincent, I'll go back to her. She has she was putting on an amateur fight card for women in Connecticut. Ebanie Bridges sent her a check and
Oh,
said,
that's
hey, I'll support
amazing.
you. So
I love that. I
it's a
love that.
sisterhood. And you
love
know, if that's what she wants to do, you go.
Absolutely. I mean, you see the crossover. It's one of those things, misfits. I don't know if you saw Elle Brooke.
Yeah.
She's a boxer, but she really took the sport seriously. And this is where I'm going to intersect that a lot of people always have that thing about Jake Paul. But I give Jake Paul a lot of credit for giving Amanda Serrano her first $1 million paid. And look at where her career has taken off. Because if it wasn't
Absolutely.
for Jake Paul, you guys can say whatever you want about him, but he's been able to put her and so many other women on his table and put them on his platform because people will watch, whether you're not your boxing fan or a YouTuber fan, it's going to get eyes, whether you're 10 years old or, you know, 70 years old. And so, you know, I've had my shtick with Jake Paul, but when it comes to women's boxing, I have to say thank you very much because
I say
without
thank you
him,
very much.
yeah,
Yeah.
because look at now Amanda, she's been around for so long and flourishing even more and becoming like this icon in Puerto Rico. Sadly, we had to see, and this breaks my heart, Heather Hardy. She had to retire from the sport because of
she did.
what's happened. And it's boxing, but people don't understand, just because they're women, they know how to fight. The same things that happen to men happen to women. They get concussions. Yes.
They get concussions, but they also, some of the things though that women have to deal with that men typically don't is because of the lack of promotions, especially in the United States. They have to change their weight all the time. They have a very small window from when they can get prepared for a fight. And even when they do have time, they're still working. It's not like they go to California to some cute little camp and get massages 3 times a day. Heather's camp is adding an extra 3 hours to her day,
She's still
That's
a
her
mom
life.
too. And she's a mom.
and taking care of her daughter, right? It's like, bring the kid to the gym at 6 o'clock and wake the kid up. Okay, kid, sit here, have your breakfast while mommy spars ahead before I start to deal with my clients. Okay. So let's understand the realities of what most women have to do. Claressa does not. Katie Taylor does not. Thank God Amanda no longer has to. But many of the women you see on these cards do. They're working full time. They have kids. They're dealing with shifting their weights all the time. I mean, look at Ellen McKellen, right? She's fighting tonight. And in 6 weeks, she's fighting Chantel at 140 pounds. She's fighting tonight at 135. Her last fight was at 126. Is that really safe?
Yeah.
No.
And we talk about it since we're both part of the Ring's women's rating committee.
Exactly.
Women have to go up and down in weight, because if not, they have no opponents. So,
right.
It's not like men where they can pick and choose. Women need the money to fight, and they need to stay active. And look, I mean, you're looking at people that are going from 160 to going down to 140. You look at Tasha Jonas. She had to get belts and move 2-3 weight classes up. So,
exactly right.
And it's hard for women to be losing weight. It's hard, and gaining weight. It's very tough.
And as you get older,
it's harder to lose the weight.
And look, it's hard for men, but they're pretty set. It's like, okay, you're at 135, you have competitors at 135, then you get your belts or whatever, and then you make that decision to say, okay, I'm going to go up and start to conquer the next division. And that's not to say all men, because the class of opponents, they just need work, and they're the meat. They're the punching bags, essentially. But for women, it's not that, because you also still, even at the lower club level, you have the best fighting the best.
Yeah.
You have a few opponents out there like Beck Connolly or Crystal Hoy, who have been doing this for a long time. They know how to roll. They know how to be a good opponent. But most of the time, it's a really competitive bout.
And it's going to continue. But Melissa, I could talk to you all day, but where can people get yours? Where can people get your book?
Sure. So The Promise of Women's Boxing, a Momentous New Era in the Sweet Science, comes out on June 4th is publication day. It's available online everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your local book, or you can just go into your local bookstore and order it from them. I'm just real excited.
Is your book release party open to the public or no?
Yes, my book release party is Gleason's Gym on June 15th, 7 o'clock. And we're going to have a women's boxing forum with Alicia Ashley, the great Alicia Ashley, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. We're going to have Maureen Shea, the real deal.
Yay.
She's coming up from Florida. It's just honoring me so much. And Heather Hardy will be on that panel as well. And Veronica Jeffrey, who is an amazing, what we call her, the best boxer in the gym that nobody ever heard of. She's awesome. Right now she's on Team Combat League. But yeah, come on buy my book, support women in the sport. That's what I'm all about, telling the stories of the great women athletes and competitors who are out there to entertain us all.
You're going to be writing a third book, because these women are coming out and their stories still need to be told. But Malissa Smith, I thank you. I appreciate you for coming on our show. I wish you were here to talk to Giandra, but I know she had so many questions, but we'll have to interview you again for your next book that's about to come out, because I know you're already starting your third book. All right. Thank you, Melissa Smith. Again, a promise of women's boxing, a momentous new era for the sweet science. Again, Melissa Smith, thank you so much. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the interview, Jay. She's really a lovely person. You guys go get her book.
Absolutely. And make sure you keep supporting women's boxing. Support Melissa. She's also a member of the Rings Ranking Committee and a professor of sorts of women's boxing. So yes, support her, support women's boxing. And Cynthia, amazing job as usual. Very proud of you.
All right, guys. We want to hear all your comments. Send us some money. We will always take it. Again, I'm Cynthia. Thank you for tuning into another edition of the Best Women's Boxing Show, period. I'm Cynthia Conte.
And I'm Giandra LeBeau.
See you guys at fights. Bye, guys.